There is a hidden reason for thinning hair. Your scalp might not be as healthy as you think. You might not have a proper scalp condition, maybe not even dandruff. But this could still be affecting your hair, and scientists have finally figured out what's going on and how to fix it. I'm Michelle, I'm a chemist and hair science nerd. Today we're talking about some newer research on scalp health and how that can help reduce hair loss. This video is sponsored by Pantene and P&G Beauty, who do a lot of the foundational research when it comes to hair and scalp care. Now, I know there is a lot of skepticism when it comes to company-sponsored research. In an ideal world, there would be tons of high-quality studies from independent researchers who aren't associated with any haircare companies. But it's really hard to get public funding for this sort of research that isn't treating a medical condition. I talked about this in my retinol video. So a lot of the higher quality, more innovative peer-reviewed hair research does come from haircare companies. Science is a good way of working out how to make products that solve annoying, but ultimately less serious hair problems. Haircare companies often work with independent researchers. These studies are still peer-reviewed, and a lot of the time there are competing companies publishing research. So there is incentive for them to call each other out if the research is questionable, but usually the research hangs together really nicely and it paints an overall picture that does make scientific sense. When I was making my itchy scalp video, I actually came across some really interesting studies from P&G Beauty, but I didn't quite understand some of the logic behind what they were doing. It turns out those studies were the basis of these products in their abundant and strong range, so it was really cool to partner with them for this video because I got to ask their scientists all of my questions and learn more about what's going on in this part of the story. It is a lot more complicated and interesting than I expected. If your scalp is unhealthy, it doesn't grow nice hair and your hair can fall out early. So an unhealthy scalp means you can end up with thinner hair. I think we all expect this, it seems like common sense, but what exactly is happening here? Well, it turns out one of the big things is oxidative stress. You might have heard this already from skincare. It is one of the big reasons your skin changes as you age. Oxidative stress is when you have too many free radicals. These are really reactive chemicals, and when they're in your skin, they react with the stuff that's naturally there, things like collagen and elastin. This damages your skin at a microscopic level, and all of these little changes, they build up over time, and eventually you see the effects on the surface of your skin, things like wrinkles and dark spots. These changes also affect the function of your skin. Free radicals can contribute to things like irritation and inflammation. And all of this also happens to other parts of your body, like your scalp. Where did these free radicals come from? There are a lot of causes: UV from the sun, pollutants, as well as natural biological processes inside your body. For your skin and scalp, they are on your outside, so they are also exposed to oxygen in the air. Your scalp is also pretty oily, and that oil or sebum is really prone to forming these free radicals. And the microbes that are naturally on your scalp, they feed off the oil and turn it into irritating substances, which also add to this whole reactive oxidation soup. Oxidative stress is a big factor in a bunch of scalp conditions that are linked to hair problems like hair loss, as well as changes in the structure of the hair. And a lot of the time with these, the hair also gets more brittle and it breaks off more easily. Oxidative stress also causes itching even before you get dandruff. But this reactive soup and oxidative stress, that can still be a problem even if you don't have obvious scalp issues. So if this reactive soup in your scalp oil is what's causing the hair problems in those medical conditions, well, we are all exposed to some level of these things. So oxidative stress could still be messing up our hair, but to a lesser extent. This oxidative stress could mean that your hair can become a bit loose inside your scalp. Normally, each of your hairs moves through this life cycle. It grows, it dies, and then it sheds during the telogen phase. If the oxidative stress makes your scalp skin a bit looser and interferes with how the hair grows, then that hair might not be anchored as well in your scalp. Telogen is around 3 months long for your head hair, so the hair might fall out a bit earlier during telogen. Oxidative stress on your scalp could also affect the quality of the hair that's growing. When your hair is growing, the hair follicles are just under your scalp and the cells are dividing near the bottom. The new hair starts off soft, and it only hardens and dies when it's just about to peek out of the scalp into the outside world. So any oxidative stress on the surface could have an impact on this process. The surface of the hair might not harden the same way, so the structure might not be as solid. That means it could chip and break more easily. It's like your hair is getting prematurely damaged. Instead of the damage taking years to build up as your hair grows before the hair breaks, say it's breaking around here, it could get the same amount of damage and break much closer to the scalp much earlier. So what can we do about these two issues? Well, based on all of this, we could try to undo the oxidative stress at this stage. To do that, we could try adding antioxidants. Antioxidants are ingredients that can soak up the free radicals. They get in the way and they react with the free radicals before they react with other stuff, and they calm things down a bit. If we can improve this part, then we might see better hair anchoring, the hair doesn't fall out as easily, and also we might see higher quality hair that doesn't break. But there is a problem here. Fixing the cause doesn't always mean that the things downstream will improve. Let's say you have a friend and she's really bad at keeping plants alive, and it's not really her fault because she tries really hard but her apartment is just too dark. Let's say she has a fiddle leaf fig and it turns into 2 sticks and it's not her fault, but she puts it outside in the sun. It may or may not grow again. So we need to test this idea, and that's what P&G Beauty did. They made a shampoo and a leave-on treatment with active ingredients in them. These are all antioxidants to undo the oxidative stress. You might have seen niacinamide, panthenol, and caffeine in skincare before. These other ingredients are known to control scalp microbes. Remember, those microbes also contribute to the oxidative stress. Niacinamide and panthenol can also help with skin/scalp hydration. Once they had these products, they found a bunch of volunteers who felt like their hair was thinning, but they had no scalp issues, not even redness. Half of them used the shampoo and treatment that had the active ingredients. They used them for 6 months. Then the other half used the same shampoo but without the active ingredients. And then the scientists took a whole bunch of measurements. And here are the results. Yes, there was less oxidative stress. These 2 substances are produced when there is oxidative stress, and you can see they are lower for the people who are using the active ingredients. The scalp barrier was also better with the active ingredients. There's more of this thing when the scalp is less hydrated and more inflamed, and these 2 are higher when the barrier is leakier. It's actually really interesting how much attention to detail there was for all these measurements. For example, to make sure they were looking at the same part of the scalp each time, they got a licensed tattoo artist to tattoo dots on people's scalps. They also looked at how much hair there was. These are the hair count results. You can see there is more hair with the active ingredients, and this started really early at 8 weeks. 8 weeks is too early for this change to be new hair that just started growing. With medical hair loss treatments that do regrow hair, you're usually looking at about 6 months before you start seeing changes. So this really suggests that what we're seeing here is less shedding. The hair is being anchored in better. They also counted how much hair was shedding, and the way they did this I thought was really interesting and clever. They got people to put their hair up in a ponytail the night before, and then when they came in, they detangled it and combed the hair for 100 strokes. They put in some spray conditioner and put it back up in a ponytail, then the next day they combed it 100 times and collected all the hair that came out. With the second day hair, they counted all the hairs that had bulbs, not the ones that broke, to make sure they were only looking at hair anchoring and not breakage. And the results, they found that there was less shedding with the actives. They also looked at hair diameter, which is how thick each individual hair is. If there's more growth, you usually get thicker hair. But in this case, there wasn't any difference. So again, this points towards less shedding rather than more growth. So these results showed that this whole concept made a lot of sense, and targeting oxidative stress could work for thinning hair. But this combination of ingredients was just kind of throwing everything at the wall. If you want people to use a product consistently, which they need to do to get results, then the products need to be really nice to use. So P&G Beauty played around with the active ingredients. They did a study that was just looking at pyroquinolamine, here it is. They also looked at how much of an effect each of the antioxidants had and what happened when you combined them. It turns out that these 3 work extra well together. Individually, they have this much of an antioxidant effect, but if you mix them together, they actually boost each other. So that is the final combination in the shampoo and serum in the Pantene Abundant and Strong range. We have pyroquinolamine, niacinamide, and panthenol. There is also a conditioner which is designed to smooth hair, and that reduces breakage. And just to be extra thorough, they also did a usage test with the 3 final formulas. It shows when you can start expecting to see effects. People immediately start to see their hair looking thicker. That's probably because of the serum. There is a polymer in here that can help hair stand up a bit. Then after a month, people see less hair in their brush and drain, and then after 6 weeks, people said their hair seemed denser. I hope you enjoyed this journey looking at how we end up with new hair products, from the fundamental research on why we have a particular hair problem, all the way to designing products that target it. Thank you so much to P&G Beauty and Pantene for partnering with me and answering all my questions. Links are all in the description. More hair videos are popping up around me.